They did what? Alright. So in an interesting series of events, Blizzard has changed some more dungeons yet again in the past couple of days. So we got two changes here. Let me try to explain this one. So Shining Storm Windspeaker Heldis, Gale Wind damage reduced by 28.6%. Good change. Windspeaker Heldis was entirely overtuned, and with them rebalancing how much count she ends up giving, she's going to be a little bit more enticing to pull, I guess, with her Gale Winds actually being a little bit more reasonable. I still don't think this means you can pull trash into her, so I think she's still going to be pretty much avoidable at all costs because she doesn't give an adequate amount of count, which we'll go over in a little bit. Elderly Axa, Blood Bolt damage buffed by 25%. So, basically, Blood Bolt is only coverable by 4 melee kicks and a Spell Reflect, or 3 melee kicks, a range kick, and a Spell Reflect at minimum. So that's a thing. Especially because the ad. Whenever the Blood Effigy ad comes out, it's very challenging to kill because it has so much health. So they're buffing the Blood Bolt damage by 25%. I wonder if that's going to scale with Spell Reflect's damage revert. So I wonder if they're going to hit the boss for like 15% per Blood Bolt spell reflected. So it's a real thinker. This is a bad change. This is what this is. This is called a bad change. I don't know anything about that one. All right. So we got some changes with beguiling. So basically, this is the Arcane Emissary. Now it reflects way less damage. Good change. It also drains at a rate of 5 per second, up from 0.33 per second. So basically what this means is that the mob is going to take 20 seconds to disappear, down from 30. This is a really good change for pugs. Less impactful for coordinated groups. I would love to see if the Arcane Emissary still has a unique threat table. Because basically before you could like taunt it out of the pack, or just have one of your healers who have a taunt kind of deal with it, like a monk, a druid, a paladin, any of those. So that'll be interesting. Overall, that's a pretty good change. I think that mob was the most reasonable as it currently stood. I thought it was going to be pretty challenging for pugs, but as it currently stands with these changes, it's pretty solid. Emissary of the Tides. Huh. 60% health nerf. Okay. Crowd control duration now capped at 8 seconds per application, but has no diminishing returns. So now Druid is mandatory. And you have to spam root. Spam Entangling Root. So the Emissary of the Tides doesn't... it makes all casts protected. So, and it also doesn't allow the mobs to be CC'd. So some packs have to have the Emissary of the Tides not in the pack, because you can't just deal with protected casts for some packs. Just because, I don't know, how are you going to do Underrot with like the Lashers if they're kick immune or something like that? Like, of course you can Dispel or heal through that shield, but like, it's easier to just kick it, and you want to be pulling more of those than just one at a time. So that's a bad change. So now you're just going to end up having to spam Entangling Root on the Emissary of the Tides with no recourse. Voidtouch Emissary, health reduced by 35%. Okay, good change. Still doesn't really address the issue. Queen's Decree Hide now has a cast time of 9 seconds, was also a good change. Kind of addresses the issue of the mob, but not to the level of where it needs to be. Basically, this is the issue right here. If you guys can see these pictures, I'll kind of make this a little bit bigger. You got the Voidtouched Emissary sitting with Windspeaker Heldis here, with the closest line of sight spot being like this rock that's like way over here. So you're going to end up spending like 6 seconds running back and forth, DPSing only 3 seconds, right? Between casts. With this Voidtouched Emissary, there's no real way to get around it. Like with this, at least you can just kind of death run or just like not deal with it. With this, there's no death running. You have to kill this because of the dervishes. So it's going to kind of close some keys for the week and just make them completely not doable. So it really doesn't address like the overlying issues with the Voidtouched Emissaries. I'm going to put a picture on the screen right now of the King's Rest constructs with this lovely placed Voidtouched Emissary here right in the middle of the screen. That's a nice one. They've also done some count balancing in Shrine of the Storm. Specifically, they also did a little bit in Waycrest Manor as well. But Shrine of the Storm is the most notable one here. So you can kind of take a look at this for yourself. So basically, they're making the count go from 662 to 695. Fine. They're making all of these mobs give more count, except for these Abyssal Eels, which you would end up getting a ton of your count towards the end of the dungeon with just these Abyssal Eels. So my issue with this is that, okay, the Ritualist going from 10 to 12 is fine. The Ritualists are kind of manageable to pull. They're just kind of avoided because you don't need them. Living Current, Windspeaker Heldis, Rune Carver, and the Guardian Elemental are almost all not pullable because they do entirely too much damage and have entirely too much health per count they give. Honestly, Windspeaker Heldis should give like 7.5 to 10%. The Living Current, the Rune Carver, and the Guardian Elemental should all give like 5% count, and then we're talking like reasonable. But as it currently stands, you're still not going to pull these. You're just going to pull everything else except for them in the instance. So it solves nothing. I don't know what they're trying to accomplish with these count changes. Like, I really, these like, look at this. This is like the percent reflected in terms of like percent of the dungeon. Literally, the Living Current needs to be 5, the Rune Carver needs to be 5, the Guardian Elemental needs to be 5, and Windspeaker Heldis needs to be like 7.5 to 10 because they're just mind-bogglingly not doable. So they have to be like equally mind-bogglingly rewarding for you to even consider pulling it. Even though they're nerfing Windspeaker Heldis's Gale Call, she still has like half the health of Acuseer on a fortified week, which is like, she has more than half the health of Acuseer actually on a fortified week, which is just like, I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense to me. So overall, these are the changes that have occurred to Mythic Plus within the past couple of days. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. Overall, the change to this Queen's Decree blowback from the Arcane Emissary, good change. Voidtouch Emissary, good change, but doesn't really affect the problem. Windspeaker Heldis, Gale Winds change, good. Elderly Axe of Blood Bolt increase? No? Please? No? Emissary of the Tides? I have to spam Root? I play a Druid and I have to spam Root? Like, what do you do without a Druid, man? And then they change the count and Shrine. Like, I get it. Why? I get why, but they're not changing it enough. Like, this is fixable. Please fix. Please fix. I get it. Alright. I think it was a bit ham-handed with Beguiling in the beginning. I think it's going to end up being a little bit better than I initially thought it was going to be, but, like, even still, it's going to be just... it's going to be it's going to be worse than Reaping. It might be better than Infested, though. So I guess we're going to end up seeing how it ends up shaking up, but... I wish they would go for fun as opposed to, like, high APM engaging or something. Like, I don't really know what they're trying to achieve with Beguiling or Begooling or whatever you want to call it. But basically what they need to do to make Beguiling okay is that they need to, like, make Beguiling give you a buff when it's killed. Like, it can be, like, refreshable whenever you kill another Beguiling mob. It can, like, refresh the buff and be stackable, so you actually have incentive to pull them, like, periodically across the whole instance. They could give count. Like, why don't they give count? Dude, it's just... insane to me, the approach that they're taking with Beguiling, though. Like, it can actually be such a good fix. It can actually feel good to do, but they take this road where it's like, nah, dog, we're gonna go with we're gonna lug you down for 35 minutes approach and make you only want to do one key that week, and some keys are just closed. It's shit into the stick, dude. Unfortunate, right? I hope they fix it, please. That's the thing. Cool. So, I'll see you guys later. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Check out my stuff down in the description. Hit a like on this video. I'll see you guys later.